Hey everybody, this is Takyo-ish Tatiana
and Red Foster
with
Killer Lashes,
a true crime podcast.
If you're in the mood for real-life crime stories,
then tune in to Killer Lashes every week on all streaming platforms
and at Age of Radio.
Okay, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of All2ReelToo. My name is Michael E. Cullen II, and with me, as always, is...
Destiny, Gaddafi, and Cardo.
I'm going to have to disagree with this name. I don't know if I like it.
Okay, well, you know.
It's not, like, permanent, is it?
Probably not.
Okay, good. I'm just making sure because, you know, naming yourself after a violent dictator is probably not a good thing.
Well, maybe I'm naming myself after, you know, someone else with that same name or just the word itself. I mean, I don't know what the word means, but like, you know, maybe I just really like the word Gaddafi, you know, I don't know.
Yeah. I always found it funny because it's spelled with it's not spelled like it sounds, you know, it's like.
It's probably a dialect thing.
Yeah.
You know, because I know in Egypt that they speak Arabic, but they have G sound, but there is no G sound in other dialects of Arabic. So like the name Jamal and like other dialects of Arabic would become Gamal in Egypt. And I think maybe Libya might have a similar thing. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
You know, don't quote me on that, but
makes sense.
Yeah.
So you might be wondering why we're talking about that, and you probably know because you probably read the title of our episode. But today on the show we are covering the very short-lived sitcom called Second Chance, which first episode ran on September 26th, 1987. It's a show that lasted one season and had two different names in the run of its series.
Really? 2 names?
Yeah, because halfway through the season, they took a little bit of a break and retooled the show completely and changed the premise of the show.
Oh.
Yeah, basically what happened was, starts out, the basic premise of this show is that it stars Matthew Perry as this young guy named Chazz, who, the original format starred this guy Kyle Martin as this guy Charles Russell, who dies on July 29th, 2011 in a hovercraft accident. Yes. Don't you remember back in 2011 when we all had hovercars and hovercrafts and all that?
Yeah, you know, it's just amazing how people like envision the future and we didn't even come anywhere close to that.
And basically what ends up happening is he's either going to go to heaven or hell, and they we'll get into this more into the episode. But he ends up getting a second chance, and he ends up interacting with his younger self back in the present day of 1987. He, you know, gets to try to make his younger self make better decisions about life and things of that nature. Anyways, halfway through the series, they had like tested things, and Matthew Perry was doing really well, but the whole idea of the older version of his character wasn't testing well or some bullshit. And so they renamed the show Boys Will Be Boys, and they got rid of St. Peter in the older version of Matthew Perry's character, and focused mainly on Chazz and his two buddies and his mom, and just, you know, the antics of teenage boys.
I mean, how can you get away with something like that where like there's an obvious premise that you can't really change? I mean, it's not like Saved by the Bell where they went to another school or something like that. It's the same premise. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like saying like, oh, The Walking Dead suddenly becomes a buddy comedy about people who work in a convenience store. It's like, what?
I mean, they've done this with other shows from time to time, especially back in the 80s and stuff when they retooled things. But this is really a weird instance of this, and it's like I watched half of the first episode of the retitled show.
Mm-hmm.
there's no mention of what happened to the older Charles and like he even existed or anything.
So they don't even address like why, like was this a fever dream?
I mean, maybe I got to watch the last one and the other one to see. But the thing is I don't think they knew when they shot that one that they were going to be, firing Kyle Martin and whatnot. And it's like,
wow,
yeah. So, anyways, it's a weird story in television history, I guess. But I really like the original premise. I think this would actually be a good idea to redo somehow as a show.
See, that's the thing. I mean, I've thought about this for a long time. That would have been cool if they did this with Matthew Perry playing the old version, but now he's dead, so he can't. But I mean, for years I had been actually thinking about it because I've seen this pilot before once. I think even before we even started doing the podcast, we just talked about it and ended up watching it one night or something like that. So
yeah, I remember actually watching this show when it was originally on TV, and then they used to show reruns on like the USA Network or something. The USA Network would have like these like comedy blocks where they would show like a lot of shows that were like on for like a couple seasons or less. For some reason, like in the morning, and I remember this being one of them. I remember really liking it. Like I remember watching when this was originally on, I think, or maybe it was just on the USA thing. But I remember really liking it when I watched it, and I remember when it just changed to Boys Will Be Boys, and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Right. I mean, like at the very least, they could have. I mean, this was the '80s, I guess, so it's like a different era of television where people didn't really care that much, I guess, about like a story, maybe, or something.
Continuity wasn't a big thing. I mean, like if you watch shows like, I mean, for example, like you were mentioning Saved by the Bell, and then like there's like Saved by the Bell just started out as Good Morning Miss Bliss, and then changed its format too, a very similar kind of way, because you were mentioning that where they changed schools. But that went from Indiana, from being in Indiana to being in California with no mention of that. Or you have just on a show that is a regular show, something like Boy Meets World, that the continuity is all over the place on that show, but it's still a beloved television show. It's like, you'll have things like where, Corey and Topanga supposedly met when they were in their cribs or something, and sometimes they met when they were 5. Sometimes they didn't meet until they were in junior high. It's just like... the story just changed.
Like they just keep changing the story.
Yeah, to fit whatever's going on. And I mean, the thing is back then, you watched TV like when it was on. You couldn't go back and rewatch it unless it happened to rerun.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a big thing. Like if you missed the episode on a Friday night, you never had a chance to see it again. But now you can watch like everything ever made online, and so when you get continuity errors, you're like, okay, why is that? I mean, not to mention like even shows earlier, like where the MASH lasted twice as long as the actual Korean War, right. and they I think during that they had like far too many Christmases, so it was like.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like, who knows? So what were your initial thoughts on this?
It was pretty decent. I enjoyed it. I especially liked that the video I watched had commercials from that era. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of cool. Like the person just left in the commercials. So I got to see, a commercial for Pennzoil, I guess, was kind of neat. And then something about saving your radiator, which I don't think most cars even have anymore. But and there was a yogurt commercial I liked. There was pretty much just commercials. No, I like the show too.
I liked I remembered one of the commercials. There was a commercial on there for like toothbrushes where it was like a Diamond Head toothbrush, and I had flashbacks to remembering this commercial where it was like this square head toothbrush was living next door to in the second slot in the toothbrush holder, and then this like Diamond Head one is like all like all I'm cool and all whatnot, and then the other one left away, and then the sexy new Diamond Head girl toothbrush comes in. It's just like, okay.
Yeah, the gentrification, they kicked out the square-headed one, and then
yes,
so
like you do,
good job. You become landlord, kicked out, one of your tenants, but it's okay, it's fine.
Well, that was on my lease when I signed up for my new apartment. It says, "Do you have a square head?" And I said no, and
okay,
then I got to live here. Otherwise,
well, that's nice.
Yeah.
No, I liked it. It was pretty funny. I mean, I might watch some of the other episodes if I could find them online.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of them on YouTube, at least a few. So, Anyways, I mean, I really liked it. Like I said, I remember watching it when I was younger and liking it. But then again, I liked like anything I could watch on TV when I was younger, just because, I didn't have much choice. Because there are some shows I go back and I rewatch and I'm like, that I really loved when I was a kid. And I'm like, really? What were you thinking, little Mike?
Right.
If I could go back, if I got a second chance, I might tell myself not to watch those shows.
Oh, I like that. Get it? Second chance? Yeah.
Yes. That'd be a waste of going back in time.
Yep. Wow.
If I could go back in time and talk to my younger self, it would be like, I don't think you should really, maybe don't, put all your faith in that TV show. Or here are the lottery numbers,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, who cares about that? And,
it's like, here's who's going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So the reason why I brought up Gaddafi is because you pointed this out too because the year 2011 is when this show takes place originally takes place when the guy dies. And so Gaddafi is one of the people that dies and then he gets sent to hell. By the way, he gets sent to hell as a suicide bomber who dies every single 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That was from a sitcom in 1987.
Mm-hmm. That's great humor right there.
Yeah, and the real Gaddafi was actually killed in 2011. So
yeah,
that's interesting.
They were a couple months off, but still, it was.
Well, but I mean, can you imagine if they got the exact date? There'd be so many conspiracy theories about that.
Yes.
Like second chance new, but predictive programming or whatever they call it. And
maybe it was
like the Simpsons. They predicted everything. It's like, yeah, if you have a TV show that goes on for like 50 straight years, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of things you can predict. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Yeah, and half the things they claim that were on the show, they were actually just made up memes that weren't even on the episodes. So that's another story altogether. Yeah, this episode was pretty good. I liked it. So basically, what we have is we start out. We've got Charles in the future, 2011 at the time. He's killed in a hoverboard not hoverboard, hoverboard. That'd be even more fun. They say a hover car. But like the synopsis says hovercraft.
So.
Yeah, accident. And his he's basically then sent to meet with St. Peter, who is played by Joseph Maher, Maher, M-A-H-E-R. Is that like how Bill Maher spells his name?
No, he has an E before the R.
Oh, it's M-A-H-E-R is what this is.
Oh yeah, probably Maher.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Just make sure. Yeah, he's been in a lot of things. That actor. He's a Irish actor who always plays like these snooty Irish or British type guys and things. Yeah. So he's St. Peter. There's this first this girl that dies, and she's a Miss America. She dies like she's killed basically by her competition right after she wins the trophy, or not the trophy. I mean the tiara or whatever. Yeah,
tripped her, then she fell off the stage and died. God.
Yeah, so this show's pretty violent to begin with, and
you got people falling to their deaths, you got suicide bombers, and it's like, what the hell, dude?
Yeah, they so basically then we get to our main guy here, Charles, played by Kyle Martin. Kyle Martin is known from like he was on Hill Street Blues and stuff before this. He sadly died like not too long after the show went off the air. In 1990, December 28th of 1990. So like just a couple of years or so after that. So yeah. He had lung cancer. He was only 46 when he died, so he was like my age. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he looked older in this episode.
Yeah, he did. I was wondering. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, he's like basically they stand at this like apex here, like this crossroads thing that tells you if you're going to hell, you're going to heaven. The Miss America goes to heaven. Gaddafi goes to hell, and like you said, is tortured with being a suicide bomber forever. But when Charles gets up there, it's like it kind of malfunctions and they can't decide where to send him. So it's like, does he go to the good place?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
they could.
So then he's basically sent to try to redo things in his life, and he's sent back to this day that's like a really important day where things are going bad in his family and stuff. So he first tries to to rent a room at the house of his mom and his younger self. So what goes on here in this episode then after that?
Yeah, he shows up inside the house. That's when his mom comes in, and his younger self comes in and startles her because there's a strange man inside of her house when the door is locked. And then he's like, "Oh, I saw your ad about renting the room," and she's like, "Oh, okay, cool." It's like, wait, okay, let's pause right there. If I found out that someone had broken into my house, and then he's like, "Oh, by the way, you have an ad here about renting your room," I'm not going to rent a room to the person who won't my house. Are you kidding me?
My thing is like, maybe she thought she left the door unlocked. I don't know. So.
Well, even so, I'm not going to, if someone just let themselves in just because the door is unlocked. I mean, that's not invitation to just go in someone's house just because the door is unlocked.
You don't remember back in 1987 when we all did that?
No, I don't. Like, I remember if it was like a friend's house and but the thing is, if I was already there or if they knew I was coming, maybe I would forget to knock and come right in. But it wasn't like I would just walk in unannounced without anyone expecting me.
I know.
I mean, maybe if it was like my grandma's house or something like that.
Yeah, that's different. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's the only place I ever used to walk into is my grandma's house. So
yeah, but yeah, he only wants to stay a day because he thinks he's gonna solve this problem within a day. So he wants to pay her $50.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out that the money doesn't work because it's got President John Travolta picture on the $50 bill.
Remember back when he was president?
Yeah. And they'd probably make it like a joke about Reagan, probably because he was an actor.
And those were good old days back when he was president, though. And the only bad part was when he made Scientology the national religion.
Yeah, exactly. Now we're ruled by Scientology law. And then, yeah, I know. And,
how are your Thetans doing, buddy? Oh, anyway, so.
Yeah, exactly. I gotta go. What's the word when they brief you? What's the word? When they interview you. It's like diagnostics.
I had it a minute ago, and then you asked me. The Dianetics is the name of the first book, but no, it was like we got the shit.
Oh, I can't think of the word. Oh, whatever.
Yeah,
where they basically interview you and they try to come up with thought crimes that you've supposedly committed, and they basically want you to
auditing.
Yes, right, auditing. Yes.
Yeah.
They want you to tell your darkest secrets that they can hold against you basically later on. Like, oh, well, when you were being audited on September 23rd, 1972, you said blah, 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 or whatever, and we wrote it down here and we kept our records of you, whatever. So, yeah. So we got to do auditing every, I'll say every 3 months.
Speaking of which, my one of my favorite new TikTok channels to watch, because I'm kind of getting into TikTok a lot, but there's this guy, I don't know what his name is. I'm sorry, I don't have it for you, buddy, but he stands outside. There's like this Scientology place on Hollywood Boulevard, like in the Walk of Fame, where all the stars are and stuff, where they walk up to people. The word Scientology isn't lit up well, but says personality tests and stuff like that, but it does say Scientology right above it. So what they do is they try to get you in for a free personality test, which is probably just like some kind of auditing. And he stands out there and he's like, it's a cult. Just keeps telling people to not go in there, and he keeps diverting people from going there, and he'll say cult in English and Spanish to different people so they don't go in there. And he's like they're gonna this one family in this one video I watched, it was I think they were Hispanic family, they're a mother and father and their little girl who looked like she was maybe 3 or 4, and they're walking down the street and trying to go in, and he's telling them it's a cult, run, and they run across traffic to the other side of the street. They luckily didn't get hit. I mean, there was room to run, but it was funny. I'm just they were running away from the place, and I was happy. And he's good, run.
I mean, yeah, they probably got to kill him if he keeps it up.
Oh, they're trying to do shit, but he's on the public sidewalk, so it's legal.
So he can't. They'll just buy that portion of the sidewalk then and be like, oh, well, this is private property now.
They just got in trouble. I mean, I know I'm going on a Scientology tangent here, but they just got in trouble in Kentucky, on the other side of Kentucky from Ohio, in the greater Cincinnati area. The city put eminent domain on part of their property to take it over.
Oh, wow.
Because they had this whole parking lot that wasn't being used, and the city needed the land for an actual parking lot for all their things, but you could only use the parking lot if you're a Scientologist.
Oh wow.
So basically they took over this, and it's 20% of the property that they have there of the acreage. So yeah. So that's good.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's great. I mean, their recruiting stuff is weird. Like, I remember my uncle, he was maybe 19 at the time or something. He was at the mall, and they had an arcade back then, and he was playing, a video game there. And then Scientology recruiter approached him. He was trying to sound cool, or hello, fellow young kids, kind of thing or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, hey man, when's the latest time that you really got to fuck around? He thought that was a good way of trying to recruit someone, I guess, Scientology. And then he was just like, what? And then he told him about it. He's like, oh, I'm not interested.
That's the same way that priests try to get people. Oh wait.
Whoa.
Sorry.
Oh.
Oh god.
Wow.
Anyways, so President John Travolta.
Oh yeah, sorry. That's what brought on the tangent.
Yeah.
So that they think he's insane.
Yeah, he's trying to pay with a $50 bill with the star of Saturday Night Fever on it. So it's
yeah. So they kick him out. His mom goes upstairs, says that she's gonna take a bath. And then that's when two of his buddies come over. One of them's kind of like a jerk, thinks he's cool or whatever, and then
it's
the other one's kind of like a geek or whatever.
Yeah, it's Booch is his name. Is Billy Gallo plays this guy named Booch. He's your stereotypical, sort of almost like your speaking of John Travolta, almost like your Barbarino sort of, cool guy in a leather jacket sort of thing.
Yeah. And then
you got Eugene is kind of your proto Screech sort of kind of character.
Yeah.
He's
kind of like Screech.
That's Demian Slade, Demian Slade.
Okay.
Demian. I don't know.
Demian or whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
So basically, what happens is he. So basically, what happened is that him and his friends robbed a store.
Yeah, the big. First, he overhears a thing on the phone with his mom too, and he picks up the phone, and his mom's on the phone talking to a bill collector who sounds like some guy in from New York. He's like, "Yeah, you owe me the money, man." What the?
I know, such a
over the top,
stereotypical
It's you can keep the calendar. You can keep the calendar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so the plan is, he's like, all right, you guys need money. All right, let's just go to the convenience store on the lottery ticket night where people bought a bunch of lottery tickets, and then just steal the money from the cash register. And it's just okay, this got dark real fast. So apparently that was the big decision that he made in 1987, was that he robbed a convenience store, and we don't know what happened. Did he go to prison? What? We don't know much about what happened to his life after.
What I think happened is that there was a big shootout and Booch and Eugene were killed, and then
and then
it got really dark.
Chazz became a drug addict to help with the guilt and the pain that he felt from his two best friends being killed in one night.
And his mom commits suicide.
Yes, God.
It becomes this really dark movie.
I know. Oh God. And so that's the plan is let's go to the convenience store. Let's rob the place with sticking your finger in your shirt pretending it's a gun. And then lo and behold, the guy who's working at the convenience store is his future self, trying to make sure that he doesn't commit the crime again.
Before we get too far, though, I did want to mention that the mom is played by Randee, who also played the mom in Karate Kid.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I just thought that was interesting. So yeah, there we go.
See, that was her first family, and then she got remarried, and then left Daniel alone, and then started a whole new family. Magically, though, her son's the same age as
Yes.
Daniel Urs. What I don't get though is okay, like, and I understand, he's like a high school student or whatever, but he's clearly at like an age where he could get a job and work, and like there's never any discussion like, hey, maybe you can get a part-time job and help pay for like
at least a paper route if nothing else, like,
you know what I mean? I mean, like, he looks like he's like 19, like for like he probably was around that age during when he was acting in the show, and like, no, we're just gonna skip over that. So let's go rob the store,
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny, yeah, because like that's your options.
My one option is to
rob the carry out.
My dumb friend who's like not really a jock, but just like a punk or whatever, and he had like his girlfriend there too, which is weird. And then he like makes her go home to do his homework for him, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm going out with someone else tonight," or whatever, just to like show
probably not his girlfriend, probably just one of his girls,
Well, whatever,
that's
just to kind of show like this guy's like a jerk or whatever, and.
Yeah,
you got the Screech character. He shows up cross-dressing at the convenience store to also rob it, I guess, or something.
Yeah, he was supposed to help them. It's like, but he was running late. He said I was running late. I had to wait until my mom fell asleep to get the wig.
Yeah, he had to steal his mom's wig to do the typical like anti-trans kind of motif that shows did, because at one point, the older Chazz is like, it's the crime against nature or whatever.
Yeah, well,
like,
I didn't find this as offensive as most trans jokes.
No, it's
luckily,
not.
Because I don't even think I found it as necessarily a trans joke as much as it was just, dude, you don't look good in a dress. Yeah, so
it's not like it was consciously, but there was unconscious.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Kind of feelings of like disgust, kind of thing. But whatever. It's just he showed up late, and then blah blah blah. What else happened? I kind of forgot.
Basically, they Chazz realizes that the guy behind the counter is his older self, is Charles, and he's basically saying, we can't do this or whatever. But then when Eugene came in dressed up like a woman, he has a gun. Turns out it's a squirt gun full of orange slice, which was a drink back then, like orange soda. Yeah. So
slice, good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Slice was at one time one of Pepsi's attempts to compete with 7-Up and Sprite. One of their many attempts, because they had a lemon lime version. They had Slice, and then they eventually had Sierra Mist, and then eventually there was like Slice, and there was something else, I think, and there was something before that, and they have had so many, and now we finally are at Starry. So.
Yeah, I loved the orange slice though. I thought that stuff was great.
It was. Yeah, I still like orange. I mean, I think Orange Crush is good too. Different orange sodas are good once in a while.
Yeah,
it's not something I can drink daily, but
yeah, totally.
Yeah. Then anyways, Charles talks him out of it, and then they end up just buying a lotto ticket. And Charles puts down different numbers. They realize that when they get in the car, then when the lotto numbers are called. And he gets 4 out of the 6 right, so I guess that ends up winning him, a couple $1,000 or something that'll help out his mom for a bit. And he comes back and confronts Charles about that, and then they basically have the happy ending where he agrees to talk him up to his mom to let him live in the room now, and as long as he doesn't pay with Travolta money or something, so.
Yeah, then he promises to bring back his favorite ice cream at home.
Maybe he has some Tom Cruise money or something.
Yeah. And then halfway through the season, then the show completely changes, and then there's no explanation about what chances or...
Yeah, because like the way I read that it goes is like it ends up being that Chazz and Booch end up living in that apartment above the garage and start renting it or something from the mom. And then Eugene comes by to hang out, and then there's a next door neighbor who's like a cute girl played by Terry Ivins, and and stuff. It's just
wow.
That's like the love interest to Chazz. I don't know. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but we have the setup for it. Maybe we'll watch some more episodes or something and talk about them in the future, or maybe at least watch the first episode of The Boys Will Be Boys and cover that just to see how it changed. But I think this is a good concept, and I mean, it would be a good idea for a reboot, or
Oh yeah, totally.
Or a movie or something at least. I don't know, something. similar concept, just to redo your life. And, it's kind of cliche. I think it's been done in certain ways, but not exactly the same way.
Yeah, I mean, come on. It's lighthearted. It's fun.
Mm-hmm. But we could do a dark version, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, sure. But we already kind of talked about some of what could happen.
It's the alternate version. What happens if older Charles never came back?
Yeah.
But he does have a hover car, in the future. So, and he's got a nice, suit.
So yeah, maybe he didn't get caught, but then maybe that's what happened. Maybe he didn't actually go to prison for robbing. Maybe that emboldened him.
Maybe Booch went to prison and he felt guilty the whole time.
Yeah,
Booch went to prison and Eugene realized his love for Booch and he ended up committing suicide because he couldn't ever have him. And wait, I'm sorry.
And then Charles ends up becoming like a really sleazy businessman or something like that.
Yeah.
And then he robs people, the legal way,
hides his pain and cocaine and
yeah. And then wow.
Oh, we need help. Or at least I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy. So any other thoughts about this episode?
No, not really.
A little bit about the TV show. Here's some random trivia here. We've got like they said, they were only off by 83 days on the prediction of Gaddafi's death.
Wow.
Yeah. I guess it's they say that the short-lived, they said it's similar to the movie 17 again, in which Matthew Perry is also in. But that's different though, because 17 again is more like 13 going on 30 or something like that, but the opposite.
Right, that he actually becomes 17
yeah.
again. It's not there's two versions of
but it's also not like he goes back in the past either. It's like he just changes. You don't have Matthew Perry and Zac Efron there talking to each other.
Right, yeah, there's no going time travel or anything like that. So
yeah, they
totally
said
different premise.
Yeah, and they said Second Chance was revamped after 9 episodes due to low ratings. The creators dramatically altered the premise, disposing of the supernatural aspects and several main characters. The newly named Boys Will Be Boys lasted another 12 episodes and was shuffled around the Saturday evening schedule before being canceled at the end of the season. So somehow the worst premise lasted longer. So
yeah. Exactly.
I don't know. This was one of the first, not first, but one of the early shows on Fox. So there was at the time you had Married with Children was the big show. So which also had a spin-off starring another Friends star in a short-lived show that was revamped as well.
Oh really?
Yeah, there was a show with Matt LeBlanc that was a spin-off of Married with Children called Top of the Heap. Okay, so yeah, this is what this was about. Okay, Top of the Heap was an American sitcom. Okay, it focused on these two Married with Children characters who were in a couple episodes of that, who were played by Joseph Bologna and Matt LeBlanc. They were a father and son named Charlie and Vinny who had these get-rich schemes every week and sort of things like that. And it lasted for a short time under that name and then came back for another season, I guess, under a totally different name called Vinny and Bobby. They got rid of the dad and it focused on Matt LeBlanc's character and his friend Bobby. And stuff like that. I remember that too. So Fox had a habit of doing this where they just totally revamped a show under a different name. So yeah, it's I don't know. It's because Vinny and Bobby aired from May 30th to July 11th in 1992. April 7th till May 19th of 91 is when Top of the Heap ran. So it's they had an interesting pattern of doing that with future Friends stars. So, yeah.
Wow.
So that's interesting. So maybe we'll cover Top of the Heap and Vinny and Bobby after we do these or something, or in the future sometime. Yeah. So any final thoughts here on this show?
No, not really.
I liked it. I think it had potential, but I understand why it didn't succeed because it was kind of, I think that honestly this concept would have worked well on TGIF on ABC maybe a couple or a few years later, around the time of your Sabrinas and stuff like that. Might have worked, but yeah, under different circumstances. So yeah, anyways, I am going to give everybody here a second chance to go out and vote for us for best podcast at ToledoCityPaper.com. So yeah, if you go to ToledoCityPaper.com, there's a link in the show notes where you can vote for us for the best podcast under the media section of things you can vote for. You can vote for us anywhere in the United States. Vote for us daily until December 15th. Do it.
Do it.
Also, there's a lot of charities that we have listed there, things that can help out people right now that are suffering in the world, other things that are, always good things to donate to. All of them are verified and double checked by me. But, if you come across any of these charities and realize that they suck, message me at mike@cullenpark.com and let me know. If you realize they're just, shams that are stealing money from people. I don't think they are, but, you never know this day. Something can seem completely legit and then you realize, oh, wait. Be sure to check those out. Also, go to our TeePublic. You can buy some merchandise there. Check out our Patreon. There's a link to some music of Matt's in the show notes as well. And also to some episodes of podcasts that we have been on, and check those out. Go to all2reeltoo.com for links to anything. Share the show, subscribe, follow us on all of our social medias on the Facebooks and the TikToks and the Threads and the Instagrams and all that good stuff. Anything else that you think our fans should do?
They should love themselves.
That's always a good thing to do, because you can't love others until you love yourself. Also, another thing, if you want to let us know anywhere on our social media, if you could go back in time and talk to your younger self, what would you tell him or her or them? Let us know. And until next time, folks, just remember that I love you. Muammar Gaddafi probably didn't. Sesame loves you very, very much, I'm sure. Don't you, Sesame?
Yes.
Okay. And until next time, bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to All2ReelToo podcast, a Cullen Park production. Produced and edited by Michael E. Cullen II. Music by Matthew Haas. Subscribe and share the show. Visit us at cullenpark.com.
Oh my God! This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. You have Kenny, you have Carlo, you have Bamba. There is a three-headed goat on the loose, and they are about to come to life.
You got sports, you got anime, you got media, you got entertainment. The same convo, baby. Tap in. Okay, now it's time to conversate. Same convo on your airwaves. Bamba came to entertain and Kenny talking anime. Carla coming with the sports, they changing lives in major ways. You was tweaking out if TAC ain't on your playlist. If you come and listen, then you listen to the best. They not worried about the others, cause they better than the rest. Kenny, Carla, bomb, but they put the others to the test. New episode flow, now tap in to see what is next.
This is the Same Convo, the podcast where we talk everything sports, anime, media, and entertainment. New episodes posted every Friday and Saturday on all available platforms. Make sure you tune in, subscribe, and come have a convo with us.